What if the person you thought was the smallest in your world turned out to be the one holding it together? This is the story of a billionaire who believed money controlled everything, until one day, he pretended to fire his maid just to test her loyalty. But her last words were words he would never forget, words that shattered his arrogance and changed his life forever. Stay with me till the end, because what started as a cruel test, became the moment that broke a stone heart and built something far greater than wealth. Ethan Grayson was a man who owned everything: skyscrapers, fleets of cars, islands scattered across the globe. But the one thing he didn't own was trust. Betrayed too many times by employees, fake friends, and even family, he built a heart made of walls so high no one could climb them. In his mansion, staff whispered when he passed. They admired his wealth but feared his cold eyes. And among them was Maria, the maid who had worked there for years. She was quiet, diligent, and invisible to most, except Ethan, who often caught her humming as she polished marble floors or carefully folding his mother's old shawl. To Ethan, Maria was different. She never asked for raises, never tried to get close, never sought favors. But to him, that was suspicious. No one is that loyal, he told himself. One morning, Ethan's mind turned dark with doubt. He decided to test her. When Maria entered the grand living room with her cleaning supplies, Ethan stood tall in his tailored suit, hands in his pockets, his voice sharp. "Maria," he said coldly, "pack your things. You're fired." The bucket nearly slipped from her hands. She froze, eyes wide, as if her world had collapsed. But she didn't plead or bargain. She just lowered her gaze, folded her trembling hands, and whispered. "If this is what you want, sir, then, thank you for letting me serve this house for so long. I only pray you never feel as alone as you truly are." Ethan's chest tightened. Alone. The word stabbed deeper than he expected. But before he could respond, Maria turned and walked away. He saw her wiping her eyes with the back of her sleeve, her shoulders shaking, but her dignity intact. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something stir in his soul. Guilt. That night, as he lay in his enormous bed surrounded by silence, Maria's words echoed like a curse, "I only pray you never feel as alone as you truly are." The mansion, once a symbol of his power, suddenly felt like a cage. The next morning, Ethan expected peace after removing what he assumed was a liability. Instead, the house felt empty, lifeless. No soft humming in the hallways. No neatly folded blanket on the couch. Even the flowers on the dining table drooped, unwatered. Something inside him cracked. He called his driver. "Take me to her address." Maria lived in a small, crumbling apartment on the edge of the city. When Ethan arrived, he found. "Kick that wheelchair and I'll marry you," his fiancée whispered with a trembling smile, half joking but testing something far deeper. He froze, staring at the chair that had carried him through the darkest days of his life. What he did next? No one in that café, least of all his fiancée, was ready for it. Stay with me, because this isn't just a story about love. It's about pride, pain, betrayal, and the kind of strength you don't see until someone is pushed to their very edge. Arif had always been a fighter. Before the accident, he was a star athlete at his university, basketball captain, full of confidence, full of life. But one rainy night changed everything. A car crash left him partially paralyzed. Overnight, the boy who once ran faster than anyone else was strapped to a wheelchair. For months, he battled not just pain but whispers. People didn't know what to say when they saw him. Some pitied him, others avoided him. But through it all, one person stayed. Mira, his college sweetheart. She promised she'd never leave. She said love wasn't about legs that ran but about a heart that stayed. Still, Arif wrestled with his pride. He hated being dependent. Hated asking her to push his chair up ramps. Hated seeing the exhaustion in her eyes when she thought he wasn't looking. And then came that evening. They were sitting in a quiet cafe, the kind they used to love in college. Mira was unusually restless, her fingers tapping on the table. Arif noticed. "Arif," she whispered, "if you want me, if you really want to prove you're ready for me, do something." He frowned. "What do you mean?" Her lips curved in a strange half-smile, but her eyes were wet. "Kick that wheelchair away. Stand up. Walk to me. If you do that, I'll marry you." The cafe went silent. Arif felt the words like knives. Kick the wheelchair. The chair wasn't just metal and wheels, it was his lifeline. Without it, he was broken. Was she testing his will? Or mocking his reality? People nearby pretended not to stare, but their ears were burning with curiosity. Arif's hands tightened on the armrest. And in that moment, his world split into two choices: stay in the chair and watch her walk away, or do something that would scar both of them forever.